Hello, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Cal with Learn International. I am Sarah, the intern at Learn International, and I'm here with our Dublin City University interns. If you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, perfect. So I'm Gabrielle, and I'm from Malta, and yeah, that's it.
My name is Antonia, and I am a Swiss Austrian, and yeah, studying in Dublin at the moment, as you mentioned.
Yeah, and I'm Sunil Quadros, and I'm from India, and I am interning with Learn International as well, and studying in Dublin.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us virtually today. Cal and I are very excited to talk to you. So you guys are in your last week of your internship working for Learn International. You started in March. So let's just get right into it and ask you guys some questions about your experience. So how did you start working with Learn International?
Yeah, so basically we're doing a Master's of Science in Digital Marketing at Dublin City University. And as part of the course and the whole year, we have a project which is called like a practicum, where basically you're assigned a client and you need to do work for them. And besides all the academic stuff, it's mostly like applied marketing stuff. So, you know, whatever the client needs and whatever they want to change, you know, it's our job to do it for them. Before that we formed a group, which is us three, of course, and another two guys who unfortunately couldn't be here. And we thought we're quite an international group, I would say, because, well, I'm from Malta, and then we have three amazing Indian guys, and then, you know, Austrian, Swiss. So so going into the meeting with our professors, we thought it would be really cool to kind of put our international skills into practice, I guess. And we thought when our professor brought up that they have a client like Learn International, we thought it would be a really good idea to go with this client, and because we had a choice. So, and we're very, very happy with our choice.
That's great. I think having all of your different experiences and backgrounds to come to work for Learn International brings a lot of cool perspectives to the table too.
Yeah, I guess it does. And it's a cool thing to have.
Yeah, for sure. So what are some of the favorite projects that you guys have worked on during your time with Learn International?
Yeah, so as Gabby mentioned, we're not only from lots of different backgrounds, but we also have different priorities and like things that we prefer to do in the marketing area. So we tried to apply that as best as we could. And so we have like an academic task or element of the project as well, where we're doing research on studying and interning abroad in times of COVID. But also, as Gabby already mentioned, sorry, we have the applied marketing elements. And those include things like ranging from creating videos, which I thought was super cool because I got to learn something that I had never done before, using video creation software, and also being guided by Sunil, who's already quite experienced in that area.
Yeah.
So that was one thing, for example, but also working on the translation of the website, because we have three and a half different languages in this group. So we were able to translate the language into Italian, into German, and compare that also with a language service translation that was provided to us by the university into Spanish. So we're doing like a whole analysis of that as well, like comparing automated translation services with our own skills, with the skills of a professional translation service provider. So things like that. It's just super like a super wide scope, and Chris and Kara are also extremely flexible with things that they would aspire to have for Learn International, but also like what we're good at, and like kind of combining that into something that works really well for both of us.
That's a great answer. I love that you guys were able to add the different languages to the website too, because I think that just makes it so accessible.
Yeah, that was fun.
That's great. So you guys started in class and then were switched to virtual during the pandemic. So can you describe what your experiences like international students was during that time?
Yeah, so initially it was very confusing as to how we would cope up with it, because we were used to going to the library to study and access the resources in the library and sit together in a group and discuss some projects together and get a new perspective face to face. But then the transition from in class to virtual was done very well by our professors and the college by providing us tools to communicate with each other, and like they provided us with Zoom Premium and all that stuff. So it was a new thing for us, but in a way it transitioned really well because all the resources that we needed were available in the library, as well as we used to have our meetings virtually. But we were planning to our group was planning to go to Cork for the research purpose as well
Oh yeah,
with
I
the team
remember.
of Learn International, which were cancelled, and we had to do it all online, and the
Yeah.
surveys were supposed to be in colleges in Cork, which was then translated into surveys online. So it's just a way that, so in a way we got recordings of the lectures which you could access anytime, which was not possible in the in class uh,
Yeah, that's true.
lectures. So in a way it was a new thing for us, but then eventually we got used to it, and then we continued with it.
I went with the flow.
Well, it sounds like you guys were able to adapt pretty well, and you've kept the humor within your group, which is always important during times like these too.
True.
So what professional and personal skills do you guys think that you have gained as international students?
Hmm.
That's a really interesting question, and we thought about that for a while because us being an international student doesn't really play that large of a role anymore because of COVID, because we're not, like Gabby is back in Malta. Sunil and I spent a whole lot of time in our student accommodation. So it's not like we had the same status, I think. Aside from the, of course, the professional experiences that we were able to gain with Learn International, like us being here in Ireland didn't really make that much of a difference anymore. And I guess that's a sign for it having worked well in the end. I don't know if you guys agree, but
Yeah, I agree.
So we learned like as for professionally, basically if you take my case, I learned time management, which is really important in the professional field, and I learned the skills that I already knew. I learned a lot more than I initially knew about, and then the perspective changed from where I came from and where uh,
Yeah,
the
that's true.
professors thought us, okay,
yeah.
so this is what you are thinking is just a basis of what the market practice is going on. So there's a lot of things we learned during the course, and we learned how to uh, communicate virtually as well.
Yeah,
So we,
That's
we
so
can adapt.
huge too. Yeah, especially now when it feels like a lot of people are learning to do things virtually. And a
Yeah,
lot of companies even are saying, well, you can work remotely forever if you want. I think that's
yeah,
really important to still be able to, channel your own strengths and your own personality, but still be able to communicate well virtually. That's awesome.
yeah.
So my last question for you guys is basically just your own advice for students considering international education programs, whether that's this upcoming year or in the future.
Yeah. So I have some advice. um, so obviously, like my advice would be to study abroad or intern abroad as much as possible and as much as you can. But a word of advice would be to be prepared for anything, even if it's a pandemic. Just, be aware that things do happen and some things do get, not ruined, but like you might have to like shift your course online. So it's good to be flexible.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. Expect the best and be prepared for the worst. That's
Yeah,
what
That's a
because
good one. Yeah.
That's a good quote.
yeah, I like that one.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's always good to consider these things and to be be sure of your capabilities and like what it is that you want to achieve when you go abroad.
Sure. I think that's great advice for anyone even just looking to travel. Like, just because
Yeah.
you're traveling doesn't mean that you're safe from bad things still happening. So it's always good to be prepared and be ready
And to
for
have
that.
a network in place that can support you as well. That's super important. And just like friends
Yeah.
and family who are
For sure.
able to kind of jump in case something happens.
Yeah, but it was still a great experience.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the way we handled the whole pandemic was also like, I think everything turned out okay. And we're healthy, so that's what matters.
That's the most important thing for sure. Yeah. And it looks like you guys still had a really fun time together, even though it was
Yeah.
mostly virtual. And you got to make some friends. And I got lucky enough to meet you guys too, so I feel pretty honored. So yeah, there's always some light at the end of the tunnel, right?
There is.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much. It was so great to speak to you today. Cal and I are so happy that we had this opportunity during your last week with us. So thank you so much. And thank you for watching Coffee with Cal. And we will see you all next week. And thank you to our Dublin City University interns. You guys are amazing. Best of luck with everything you do.